So I was researching some things about the black Indian, the native black Indian of America, and I came across this book on Amazon. And what was so interesting about it was, you know, was the price, and I'm gonna show you that right here. This joint was 200 and $50,000, man. So I was like, man, why is this joint so expensive? So I got to doing some research, and in this age of information, I was able to find a copy of it online. You know, because I ain't paying no 250,000 for that. I don't know why it's even so expensive, but it was pretty interesting, man. And I'm just gonna point out some things that I found out in the book, or I just read. And I'm not gonna read the entire thing to you guys, but I'm gonna read a good bit, but not the whole thing, because I don't got time for all that. And I'm gonna butcher some of the names. Just forgive me. As you can see, the author's right there, and I don't know how to pronounce that. But yeah, I'm gonna get into it, man. So this is pretty much the introduction. I wanted to read this because it's decent. So I'm gonna start, and like I said, I'm gonna butcher some of these Indian names, man. So forgive me. I mean, so his introduction. This work has been written in a special way to psychologically and spiritually heal the mental and spiritual damages that have been done to the black indigenous native of the Western Hemisphere, so-called American Indian. It is also designed to make the black indigenous native of the Western Hemisphere aware of the psychological and spiritual damages that have been done. It is not for everyone. It is an antidote for a degree of sickness that has been embedded deeply within the within the well-being of my people. My people have been programmed to think that Africa is their homeland when home is right here under their feet. This work has repetitive tones to it for a reason. It is designed to reprogram the systematic programming of the black indigenous native of the Western Hemisphere throughout the Americas on how they have been mentally trained since birth to view themselves, and how they have been mentally trained since birth to view and perceive their own ancestors. My name is Canyon. I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago. My father's side of the family comes from Coweta, Cuscuta, Shawnee, and Tusarauca people. I know I butchered that, man. Yeah. My mother's side of the family comes from Tuskegee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Tuchula people, based on a matriarchal society that was once honored by most of my people and still honored by some of us. I am a Tuskegee. Butcher that again. I come from a long line of women who trace their lineage through women. Whatever the woman's clan is, so is the child. However, the strongest spirit on me and the strongest ancestral spirits who walk with me is from my father's side. I am a red stick warrior. We oppose European expansion onto our ancestral lands. We oppose our own people who supported this, and oppose our own who supported the rebel government called America. We fought against Europeans, the new rebel government America, and our own people. We bathed in the hot blood of our own kinsmen who were wooed and seduced by European lifestyle and European trinkets. Many battles were fought with the white man, and many more were fought with our own people who became victims of the white man's spell. Through different battles, there were a thousand or more white people on the battlefield. There were triple the number of ranks alongside them, helping them with their European colonialism campaign. So I'm gonna stop right there. So this is the next. I mean, this is still continuing into the introduction, but I just wanted to read like the lower part of it, because like I said, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. So like pretty much the last paragraph, and it was interesting. I just wanted to read what he said. He said, "I no longer bash the white man, and even the demon spirit that currently resides on our planet. Those of us that know the higher teachings say that energy follows energy. The demon spirit that currently resides in this abode is a result of our own actions. The divine gives us things in stages. According to the degree of our consciousness is how we are served by the universe. My people in the Western Hemisphere were on the downswing long before Europeans came here to settle. Because they didn't heed to the Most High's word, man. It's ordained. This work addresses a certain degree of consciousness. Therefore, as mentioned, it is not for everyone. Just remember that. Yeah? There will be things that will be said that people may take offense to. That's not my challenge. You will have to work that out within your own spirit. That's right, man. We're not here to offend anybody. We're just here for truth, man. Because the Most High is about truth. You know what I mean? So right here, I'm gonna get into the bullet points now. Oh yeah, he had this this verse right here. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. Hosea 4:6. You know what I mean? You gotta point that out. He had that in the beginning. So I'm gonna just start going through the wickets now, and I'm gonna start at number 1. And it says, Black Indians have lived in the Western Hemisphere since time immemorial. 2. Black Indians were not spawned or created as a result of Africans coming to the Western Hemisphere during the transatlantic slave trade, mixing in with native people of the Western Hemisphere region, also known as Native American Indians. Number 3. Native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, also known as Indians, did not refer to themselves or their ancestors as Indian. We use the word Indian since most people are accustomed to this title. The word Indian, red man, and Native American are European colonized terms. Native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere referred to themselves by way of tones, vibrations of expressions. Your spirit said who and what you were. The same given to you was based upon the type of spirit you possess. So yeah, man, that's the type of spirit you possess, man. Some of you guys, you know what I mean, you got the spirit of Judas on you, man. I mean, you got that spirit of King Ahab, man. Those wicked spirits, those Jezebel spirits, man. Right? You know what I mean? You would define under the spirit you got, man. Let's keep going. Number 4. All native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, possess different physiological features. Hair texture, bone structure, and skin tone varied. 5. All native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, did not and do not have high cheekbones, slanted eyes, reddish copper skin, or straight black hair. Yeah, he's telling it, man. Speaking. Number 6. All native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere did not live in teepees or pueblos. 7. It is difficult for society to accept that the Black Indian as being native or indigenous to the Western Hemisphere region because society has been brainwashed been brainwashed with fabricated fake images, of indigenous people in the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians. Wicked 8, man. Most reservation Indians were carefully selected by the U.S. government to occupy reservations when the reservations were being established. Number 9. The U.S. government, for the most part, selected pale-skinned Indians or Hollywood versions of Indians to occupy U.S. government-established reservations. Yeah, man. So this is, you know what they do. They like to whitewash, you know what I mean, the images of certain, you know what I mean, of colored people, man. You know, that's what they've been doing. That's what's been depicted in the movies. They don't, I mean, they don't want us to see the correct depictions, man, because people's gonna start realizing the truth. And you know, these elites, they know the truth, man. They most definitely know the truth, but they've been benefiting off of our ignorance. But you know, the Most High is waking up his elect in these last days, you know, to spread the truth, man. You know what I mean? And they've been doing a good job of, you know what I mean, trying to kill us and cut down the ones that haven't sold out yet. So I'm gonna keep going. Number 10, the U.S. government selected a certain physiological type of native, aka Indian, to promote to the world as this is the real Indian, as well as this is how a real Indian looks. 11, The dark-skinned native indigenous to the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, were reclassified during the 17 and 1800s as Negroes and Coloreds. Number 12. Certain dark-skinned natives were allowed to settle on reservations with pale-skinned natives. Most were not. I wonder why. I mean, probably some Sambos, buck dancing, coons, you know what I mean, shucking and jiving, you know, sellouts. You know what I mean? You know, it's nothing new under the sun, man. You know what I mean? It's definitely nothing new under the sun. I mean, real talk. So I'm going to drop down to Wicked 17. Like I said, I ain't reading all this. All native people or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, spoke different dialects of a language synonymous to the Hebrew language. 18. Most early European writers during the 1400s throughout the 1800s, including the pale-skinned Jews, all agreed that the heathen of the savage of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, throughout the Americas, were without a doubt descendants of the lost tribe of Israel. 19. A pale-skinned European by the name of James Adair, an English writer and a trader during the 18th century, lived amongst black Indians in the Southeast. James Adair wrote a book entitled History of the American Indian. In this book, he claimed that the Indians of the Western Hemisphere were descendants of the lost tribe of Israel. That's crazy right there. That's just heavy. 20. James Adair, in his book History of the American Indian, wrote 23 arguments to support his findings that the so-called American Indians were descendants of the lost tribe of Israel. So you know, they already knew, man. These guys knew this a whole time, man. But you know, the most I said is, you know, Deuteronomy 28. You know, what I mean, these curses are gonna befall upon us, man. We're gonna lose knowledge of self, things of that nature, man. You know what I mean? You know, but these guys knew the entire time, man. Let's go to 21. Nat Turner, Paul Cuffey, Crispus Attucks, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Harriet Tubman, Denmark Vesey, Elijah Pooley, a.k.a. the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, amongst millions of others, were indigenous to the Western Hemisphere, a.k.a. the Indians. Shout out to Nat Turner, man. I mean, I like Nat Turner. Yeah, Nat Turner was a warrior, man. I mean, 22. The titles Black American and African American are fake, inappropriate European colonized titles to keep indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, under a spell of ignorance. 23. The titles Black American and African Americans were purposely created to psychologically and spiritually disconnect indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, from their true motherland, which is right up under their feet, man. You know what I mean? This whole time, man. That's why they always talking about subconsciously go back to Africa, go back to Africa. Subconsciously, they always saying that, man. They try to group us into one constantly because they knew we was here. That's in their subconscious, man. Yeah. And they got these evil leaders set up that been promoting that too. Yeah. Oh man. Let's go to Wicked number 24. Reverend Jesse Jackson, he's a sellout. You know what I mean? A big sellout right there. Reverend Jesse Jackson, a South Carolina Cherokee, started and promoted the fake title of the African American that has been imposed upon black Indians indigenous to the Western Hemisphere. You know what I mean? That's a sellout right there, man. You know what I mean? That's who they prop up, man. All the sellouts, you know what I mean? And these guys sell out, they work for the crumbs of the master's table, man. Oh man, it's sad, man. Sad, man. Let's go, man. Number 25. It has become quite profitable to brainwash the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, into thinking that Africa is their native land. Most definitely, man. It's been profitable, man, because I mean, who's been benefiting off of it, man? I mean, who's been benefiting off of this, man? Let's keep going. Yeah. Number 26. There is a campaign currently underway by the U.S. government and U.S. government-sponsored natives that preaches a doctrine and says that the black Indian of the Western Hemisphere is a result of African mixture. That's a lie. and has not always dwelled in the Western Hemisphere. You know, they gotta spew their false doctrines to keep it going, man. I mean, but the elect is gonna be waking up in these end times, man. They gotta spew the false doctrines, man. You know what I mean? All these fake people in the conscious community. I mean, Pan-Africanism, man. You know what I mean? They had us lost, and they're not. You know what I mean? They're not going according to scriptures either of the book, man. I mean, if you're not in this book, you're gonna be lost. So let's go to 27. 27. Most so-called Black Americans or so-called African Americans, when asked if any Native Americans are in their family, at least 95% respond with the answer yes. In addition to this, most so-called Black Americans or so-called African Americans are also able to give you the name of the tribe that their relative comes from. Thus, the so-called Black American or African American oddly insists upon calling themselves Black American or African American instead of referring to themselves by way of ancestral tribal name that has arrived in their family, which in essence is their true nationality. You know what I mean? Let's go. 28, man. This is heavy. Most so-called Black Americans or so-called African Americans find it difficult to accept themselves as being native or indigenous to the Western Hemisphere because of the program fabricated images of native people in the Western Hemisphere. Fake images of their own indigenous ancestors has been routinely drilled into their psyche since birth. The Black Indian image does not register with their psyche because of the fake imagery programming that the U.S. government has instilled into their minds of how native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere look. The spirit of so-called Black Americans or so-called African Americans tells them one thing, while the program fake image of their own ancestors says another. This all leads to inner conflict. I mean, Satan is the author of confusion, man. He's the author of confusion. This is what he does, man. You know what I mean? Let's go to 29. The school system and the media have been the two biggest giants behind the programming into the masses. Fake fabricated images of native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka the Indians, man. So yeah, that TV is a big. I mean, it's a big weapon, man. I mean, that's probably the biggest weapon out here, man. That and the school system, because the school system ain't teaching us the truth, man. I mean, they pushing that Africa doctrine, and these these teachers are not in the truth either, man. They think they in the truth, but they really not. I mean, they've been indoctrinated too. You know? It's for real. Oh man, let's go, man. 29. Let's go. I think 30 is next. Native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, built pyramids and pyramid mounds just like the ancient Egyptians. This synonymous comparison of both cultures from opposite sides of the world is because they were both genetically linked. They both are the same people. So I mean, come on, man. It's been known that, you know what I mean, they have found Hebrew artifacts and pyramids here in the United States, you know, but they like to cover these things up. You know, they don't want it to be known because they know that, hey, we were here. You know, they don't want us finding that stuff. You ain't gonna see that stuff in the museum and stuff like that. They always gonna go to Egypt. You know? But you know, the Most High is waking up as elect. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I'm gonna keep repeating that because it's ordained, man. you know, let's go. It's crazy, man. This is crazy. Right here, 31. During the time of Pangea, a Greek word that means all one, all of the continents on the planet were one mass of land. People lived and thrived during the time of Pangea. This is a large explanation as to why pyramid builders in the Eastern Hemisphere and pyramid builders in the Western Hemisphere have cultures that are incredibly synonymous. The continents continue to move. Some move 4 inches a year. Continents will one day become one mass of land again. The continents are currently separated at this time. However, the genetic link of beings from Pangea never parted, man. So the continent's gonna come back once again one day. I mean, well, Lord willing, yeah? Some of you devils ain't gonna be able to join, man. I mean, you can't. You guys ain't gonna be there when it's back. The righteous is going to be there. So we got to go to 32. The term Moor was applied to dark skin, brown skin, and reddish brown skinned people who were not only indigenous to Europe, but to the West and North Africans. Even black Indians of the Western Hemisphere were also dubbed with this title. Yeah. So they dubbed even black Indians with that too, man. But it usually went to dark skin, brown skin, and reddish people. Oh no, that's pretty much a classification of everybody, to be honest with you. But that's more confusion, man. Let's go 33. That's their Freemasonry number right here, 33. Indigenous black Celtics, indigenous black Britons, indigenous black Portuguese, and indigenous black Spaniards, all also known as Moors, had a long time knowledge of indigenous people in the Western Hemisphere. These Moors were well informed of the different customs, traditions, and languages of the natives of the Western Hemisphere. These dark-skinned European Moors were used as buffers by pale-skinned Europeans to help colonize the New World. These indigenous black Europeans, aka Moors, not only solicited the New World to pale-skinned Europeans, but also waged war on the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka the Indians. So you see, man, you had people that looked like us, that helped the Europeans out, man. And it's still going on today. There's nothing new under the sun. You still see a lot of our people. They some damn sellouts, man. You throw a couple dollars in front of them, and they ready to do whatever, man. That's because money control them, man. And now and what do you guys get out of it? What do you guys gain out of doing all that today? To be second fiddle when you could have been first? You guys are a joke, man. For real, man. Let's go to 34, man. Certain black indigenous Europeans, aka Moors, that went under such titles as clergymen and European nobility, shared a common consciousness with the pale-skinned Europeans. That common consciousness being that the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, were untamed heathen savages. So they call us untamed, man. That's the false doctrine that they push. Yeah, we gotta go over there and handle them, man. But regulate. Yeah. Now you see why, man. Now you see why certain cats is the way they are. All that buck dancing and cooning on television. Oh man. That's the spirit that they have, man. And they still not respected. That's what I'm saying. They still not respected at the end of the day. They doing all this for nothing. And they kick them to the curb after they finish with them. Let's jump down to 36. I reading on everything, like I said. Certain Moors helped to navigate Christopher Columbus. I'm sick of his name. Voyage to the New World. He wasn't lost. He knew exactly where he was going, simply because of who was on the boat with him. Yeah, man. He knew what he was doing. The dumb diverses were signed. Yeah. He ain't discover a damn thing. He ain't discover crap. It was Moors on that boat with him. Showing him where to go. 37. The U.S. Constitution government is a plagiarized copy of a black Indian governmental system, the Iroquois Nation. That don't surprise me, man. Let's go to 38. The founding fathers did not find anything. They went to black Indians, the Iroquois Nation, seeking assistance to break away from their chief in England, King George III. The Iroquois Nation taught them their system of government. The only part that the so-called founding fathers left out was the matriarchy. Black Indian women rule Iroquois Nation. That's heavy right there, man. So you see, King George was giving them hell. So they yeah, they wanted to get away from King George. So he was oppressing them in their own land, and they came over here, and they copied the same thing. You know what I mean? So they ran from him to come here and do into the new world and do it to us. You know what I mean? But then they complained. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you had women that was ruling, man. So the women were highly respected. I mean, they were highly respected in their kingdom, man. You know what I mean? Yo, man, let's go. 39. Most black Indians of the Western Hemisphere found themselves seduced by European lifestyle, man. And look at that, man. You know that's the truth, man. You know what I mean? What did the Most High said Israel has a problem with? Idolatry, man. Following the ways of the heathens, man. Following the traditions and the customs of the people outside the tribes, man. That's not for us. The Most High gave us statutes and laws to follow. You know, he gave us dietary laws, things of that nature. But we always want to go and follow the other nations, and the other nations know that when we do that, you know what I mean, and we sin, they could rise up above us and defeat us, man. Because the Most High is not going to put that covering over us anymore. You know what I mean, look at what it says. Most black Indians of the Western Hemisphere found themselves seduced by European lifestyle. So they like that, man. You know what I mean? They like that way, man. And this is why we in trouble right now, because we're following their ways still, man. We have to come out of that. You know what I mean? Because we're the Israelites, man. They cleave onto us. And if they don't want to cleave, then hey, we don't cleave onto them. Come on, man. That's why the world is in so much chaos right now, and the fake Jews is running everything, and people are following them, thinking they don't. You know what I mean? That they are upright. Yeah, that's crazy, man. 40. When the Revolutionary War broke out, black Indians found themselves fighting against their own kinsmen. Yeah. Some black Indians nations sided with the British, while other black Indian nations sided with the colonial rebels, aka, I mean, Americans. That's crazy. They gotta choose sides, man. I mean, they gotta choose sides. But you see, it was like, you know, it's the same thing that's going on now. You had some of our people that wasn't with the colonization; they were fighting against them, and you had some of our people that were with it, man. They helped them, and they helped them take us down, you know. And you still got the same thing going on, man. Look at all these gang stalking and wicked niggas out here. You know what I mean? that look like us, you know, and it shocks me and it baffles me participating in this joint, man. I mean, for crumbs, pretty much. Let's go, man. Let's go. 41. After black Indian nations helped to set up the colonial government, America, in addition to help to sponsor military support for the new colonial government, black Indian nations continued to fight and war amongst themselves as they did before and after Europeans set foot upon the Western Hemisphere shores. Yeah, man. So they were fighting before they got on there, and that's always been a problem with the nation of Israel. You know, tribal conflicts. You know, that's why the tribes got separated, northern and southern tribe, because they were always fighting amongst each other. You know, and at one point, King David, I mean, he was able to unite all the tribes. You know, and it was peace within the tribes. You know, but you know that's all comes to an end now, man. That was a beautiful time. I mean, let's go to 42. Black Indians were not conquered by Europeans or so-called white man or the so-called white man. Black Indians had a rich history of intertribal warfare. There you go, like I said, amongst each other that continued before and after the European arrival. Intertribal warfare that existed among black Indians and in the Western Hemisphere was so great that it left them in a state of impotency. When impotency set in after years and years of clan warfare, in addition to the attraction of the European trinkets, customs, and traditions, and worshiping of the God Jesus, you all know his name wasn't that, you know, it was Yahushai or, you know, Yeshua, but it's not that white Jesus that they set up. You know, we know the Messiah was black. You know, all assisted in paving the way for European occupancy of black in their lands, their spirits and their minds. So, you know, they came over there with their pagan ways, man. Christianity, you know what I mean? And you see the trinkets and customs. You know what I mean? So you see, trinkets, like, yeah, selling it out pretty much again, man. Idolatry. Yeah, they know how to get us. Oh, man. Let's go to 43. After the colonial government was established, America, black Indian nations continued to aid the new colonial government with military assistance on other black Indian nations that fought against European expansion and taking of their ancestral lands. So you see, you had people that was fighting. You know what I mean? You had people that was fighting, man, to keep their land, and you had wicked sellouts. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That helped them. They joined sides with the wicked ones, man. Now look at where we are today, man. Oh, man. Oh, this is sad, man. Let's go to 44. Nah, I don't know. I'm gonna skip 44. 45. George Washington established treaties or contracts with various black Indian nations as well as the Moors for military support against other black Indian nations who did not support the occupancy of the new colonial movement. So, yeah. So he gave contracts to people, you know, that was that was down with him. I mean, just like this, you know what I mean? It's just like right now. You get down or you lay down. Man. Let's jump down to 50, man. Let's jump down to 50. I mean, hurry up. I got a lot. There were thousands upon thousands of black Indians who fought in the Civil War, and it was before and after this war, who were black Indians or native to the Western Hemisphere region, but were oblivious to this fact. They only thought themselves to be Negroes. They only thought themselves to be Negroes. Their parents and their parents' parents, who had lost the knowledge of themselves, tribal identity, in all honesty, simply passed on to the next generation the colonized title of Negro to their children. Thus, an unbroken chain of ignorance continues to survive. Yep, there it go, man. There it go. Let's go to 52. Many black Indians who fought in the American Civil War, either on the Confederate side or the Union side, were not acknowledged as being indigenous or native. They were acknowledged as Negroes. They did go stripping that title from you. You know what I mean? Most of the Navajo code talkers who were used to assist the U.S. government in World War II were blue black Indians. The photo and film footage of the black Navajo who participated in this war were carved out of history. Ain't nothing new, man. You know, just like in the movies, man. You go watch something, you go watch the Bible movies, things of that nature. I mean, it's no depiction of who the people really are. And then let's go to 54. The term Negro and the term Negro and color was not only applied to black Indians to psychologically and spiritually remove them from their lands. These colonized titles were also applied to black Indians who were incorporated into the slave market. There you go. They gotta strip you from that because they don't want you to remember who you are. You know, strip your knowledge from you. And it worked. Yeah. But this is what happens when we don't obey the Most High. We suffer. Yeah. Let's jump down to I think I'm gonna jump to 60. Yeah, I'm gonna jump to 60. Most black Indians today refuse to accept that they are indigenous because they have fallen victim to the spell of fake images. If their hair isn't straight or curly and their cheekbones is not high either, their eyes slanted or their skin reddish blue or a reddish hue, they just simply decide that they aren't from they're from Black America. They just simply decide that they're from Black America. I mean, the indoctrination, man. You know, our family members ain't know. I mean, that just continued throughout time. Let's go to 61. Most black Indians of the Western Hemisphere who were falsely labeled as African Americans and Black Americans fought for their civil rights during the 1940s through the 1960s. They were not known as black Indians or being indigenous. Some knew, others didn't. They went under the cloaking of the title Negro. Negro civil rights movements, aka Black Indian Civil Rights Movement. There you go. Let's go. I'm gonna jump to 60. I'm gonna jump to 66. Black Indians did not only use paths and trails as a means of transportation on the surface, but also used the underground cave tunnel. An underground cave tunnel. That sounds like the Underground Railroad joint. And this was before that though. Yeah. 67. Black Indians revealed, taught, and navigated Europeans through the underground cave tunnel system. Nothing new. Let's jump to 73. Many Black Indian chiefs were put on annual salaries by different European nations throughout the 16, 17, and 1800s. European nations such as France, Britain, Spain, Portugal, and the Dutch Netherlands paid Black Indian chiefs of the Western Hemisphere a salary for their support in the slave market, European currency, rum, thundersticks, gum, and a free trip to Europe were all elements made up of this annual salary. So you see, man, we had a lot of sellouts back then too, man. You can't just blame the white man, because there's no way they would be able to take us down if we stuck together. I mean, because they don't have knowledge. They didn't have knowledge of the land, and they definitely couldn't infiltrate our circle unless, people were helping them. And it's the same thing that's going on today. You have people that help them out to take us down, man. Oh man, instead of just sacrificing, man. Yeah, but a lot of opportunists, man. When you face with destruction, people just switch up, man. I mean, I'm like that. I'm like them dudes in 300 at the end. I mean, we're gonna die. We ain't selling out. Yeah. Let's go. Let me see what I want to hit next. Let's go to 77. Many Black Indians went to Europe to receive pale skin education, so they left. They went over there to be indoctrinated. For real. Many Black Indians who became thoroughly indoctrinated into pale skin education and pale skin religion came back into their homeland and helped pale skin to colonize their own people. Yep, that's what they do, man. Just like, when these cats go to these pastors and all these teachers, they go to seminary school and church, and they get indoctrinated with that, and they come back and teach us. I mean, that's not 100% the truth, man. I mean, the Most High didn't deal with people that went to these major schools, man. He dealt with unlearned men, These guys wasn't no scholars or anything like that. Maybe one of them were, but they were humble. Yeah. Oh man. 90. Oh, this is a big one. Many Black Indians who became indoctrinated into European lifestyle joined European orchestrated fraternities and secret societies such as the Order of Freemasonry. Oh man, that's a big one right here, man. I mean, there you go. That's also idolatry too. You can't serve two masters, man. Yeah. A bunch of sellouts. And that's the thing. You join in these fraternities so you could try to prosper. And you don't understand. We weren't sent here to prosper, man. We sent here to serve our sentence. And if you prospering on a major level, like these Jay-Z's, these Beyoncé's, these Dr. Dre's, these P. Diddy's, Oprah's, all these guys are major sellouts, man. The more money you got, the more wickedness you have to do to obtain it. So these guys are major sellouts, man. The more wickedness you got to do, the more lies you got to tell. You got to sell out to the elite's agenda, and that ain't nothing but wickedness, man, and lies. But this is what you guys chase after, man. I'm telling you, the Most High Kingdom it's gonna be crazy, man. And you guys sold out for crumbs, man. You gonna see. Oh man. Many Black Indians navigated the oceans and did not live in isolated communities as taught by the pale-faced in their schools. We already know that. We've been traveling the seas, man. They try to say Christopher Columbus knew it. We've been navigating back and forth, man. 95. Many black Indians east of the Mississippi River wore turbans adorned with feathers. Besides their languages having the idiom of Hebrew language, of the Hebrew tongue, the wearing of the turban was a physical sign of their genetic link to the Hebrew Israelites. You already know, man. I already went over that. Let's go to 101. Many Africans that come to the United States in this present day and time know that the so-called African Americans are indeed black indigenous Indians. You know what I mean? So they know. Everybody knows, man. Everybody knows but us. And that's because we've been blinded, man. Most have really blinded us, man. Yeah? And 102. Most foreigners from other nations abroad are waiting for the so-called African Americans to reclaim their rightful titles. They're waiting for the tribe of Judah to rise up, man. The head tribe, because once Judah rise up, the rest of the tribes follow. The whole world follows Judah, man. But if as long as these guys keep Judah in wickedness, or rather the rest of the Israelites in wickedness, you know what I mean? Hey, that's it, man. And the people that's rising up, like I said before, they killing us, man. They're selling us. The warriors, the strong ones, they killing us off. And they just want these homosexuals and these effeminate men out here, you know what I mean? Because they feel more comfortable with them, man. With that, man. Let's go to 103. They feel comfortable with that. That's safe for them. They don't want nobody like King David walking around here. Or his mighty warriors, man. That's killing like 300 men at one time, 800 men at one time. You know what I mean? People like Samson. You know what I mean? Slaying 1,000 men at one time. That scares them, man. They rather be around the homo. You know what I mean? That's what they don't want that, man. Let's go, man. Read this last wicket. The reclaiming of the identity of the black indigenous Indian in the Western Hemisphere region is not a difficult task. It is done. It does not require petitioning outside of yourself to someone else to acknowledge who you are. Your mother, your father, your grandmother, and your grandfather. The information that has been passed down through your lineage to you from them is acknowledgement. Neither does it require the testing of your own DNA by the way of colonizers' pseudo contraptions. Fake DNA, you know what I mean? Centers set up by the Jewish people, you know what I mean? The earth and the ancestral spirits know perfectly who you are. Just claim who you are. Yeah, man, they can't wait, man. Even the animals is waiting for us to get our stuff together, man. You go to the zoo, you know what I mean? Go to the zoo and watch some animals. They be looking at us all depressed, like Judah, Israel. Y'all ain't get y'all joint together yet, man. Come on, man. Y'all gotta get y'all joint together, man. The animals is ready to beat out this wicked system, man. Let's go, man. All praises to the Most High, man. All praises, man. And that's it, man. Just have to hit those couple wickets, man.